Did you see Elon Musk's bedside table picture that he put on Twitter? He had that in the lower left corner of the picture. That is the symbol that comes from ancient Hindu that is supposed to be the most powerful thing in the entire universe. This is a staged photo. So the fact that he has that Vajra in the lower left corner, I wonder, is he essentially sending a shot off the bow to the people who he thinks are going after him, which is that I have knowledge of something.
Ancient scripts have influenced great scientists in Germany, America, and all over the world. Hitler and the Nazi staff were exceptionally interested in ancient India and Tibet and sent expeditions to both of these places yearly, starting in the 1930s. The Mahabharata clearly describes a catastrophic blast that rocked the continent.
It was an unknown weapon, an iron thunderbolt, a gigantic messenger of death, which reduced to ashes the entire race of the Vrishnis and the Andhakas. The corpses were so burned as to be unrecognizable. Hair and nails fell out. Pottery broke without apparent cause, and the birds turned white. After a few hours, all foodstuffs were infected.
This looked like a description of deaths and devastation due to radiation poisoning at a nuclear blast. Based on these descriptions, many theorists believe that nuclear weapons could have existed in ancient times. However, it's not clearly explained by science how these ancient civilizations knew such an advanced technology. The more we try to understand this, the more questions we uncover. One of the greatest mysteries of all time has been the sudden disappearance of Indus Valley civilization and all of its population. What could have caused the sudden destruction of the civilization and the complete disappearance from the face of the earth? When excavations of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were done, archaeologists found skeletons scattered all over the place. The skeletons were highly radioactive, as if some nuclear devastation had caused their sudden and untimely death. The sand turned into glass because of the high temperature or explosion. This effect is called vitrification.
4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
The Mahabharata is accepted by Indians, people of Vedic culture, as being the authentic history of India. And that story takes place approximately 5,000 years ago, at the end of the last age, in which there's a great war on the basis, or let's say, a war fought over the principles of Dharma. Dharma means, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to live? What are the principles by which this world should operate? So, like we said, this world has two different personalities, the divine and or devas, and the demonic or asuras. And throughout the history of the world, there's always conflict between these two groups because they have different purposes. So the Mahabharata is a description of the Battle of Kurukshetra, what we might call the First World War, in which the devas, or the divine, and the asuras, they were fighting for control.
The most crucial ceremonial tool in Vajrayana Buddhism is the Vajra. Vajra in Sanskrit means something hard or mighty, such as a diamond. It is an unbreakable, unmovable, indestructible state of wisdom and enlightenment. Our understanding of the Vajra dates back to very early times. According to the texts, the Vajra was once a different emblem than the one we associate with serenity and tranquility. It initially occurred in ancient India when the Vedic sky god Indra, the ruler of the Devas, used it as his primary weapon. According to the Hindu Puranas, the terrible Asuras, Namuchi, and Vritra took away all the light and moisture from the earth. It rendered the land uninhabitable for life. Indra fought the demon gods in vain and, in desperation, appealed to their supreme god Vishnu for assistance. Only a weapon that was neither solid nor liquid could kill Namuchi and Vritra, according to Vishnu, who described it as a weapon of the gods. The heavenly craftsman belonged to Vishnu. Indra was given a magnificent weapon by Vishnu to use against the terrifying Asuras, crafted by the celestial carpenter Tvashta. The Vajra, a brand new gun, shot out bolts of lightning. With it, Indra destroyed Namuchi and Vritra, giving the earth its much-needed light and moisture. The war is described in the Rig Veda. Now I tell the glorious deeds of Indra, who holds Vajra. He killed the serpent and made the waters flow. He broke the hearts of mountains. He killed the snake, which was taking refuge in the mountain. Tvashta made the Vajra for him. Like the cows making sounds, flowing waters reached the sea. Mighty Indra chose Soma and drank from 3 containers. Generous Indra held Vajra in his hand and killed firstborn among the serpents. Rig Veda 132. When employed, the Vajra was hurled towards the adversary. In his essay, Ritual Implements in Tibetan Buddhism, Nitin Kumar writes, as a hurled weapon, the indestructible thunderbolt blazed like a meteoric fireball across the heavens in a maelstrom of thunder, fire, and lightning. The Vajra is typically represented in traditional art as a metal shaft with 3, 5, or 9 prongs that project from lotus blooms on either end. Indra's Vajra originally had open prongs, according to the Rig Veda, an ancient Indian book. According to mythology in Buddhism, Shakyamuni, the Buddha, stole the Vajra from Indra and compelled its prongs to close, turning it from a lethal weapon into a non-violent scepter.
As we talked about the Battle of Kurukshetra, in the Mahabharata there's mention of the different astras or weapons that they used. One astra is called the Brahma Astra. And this is actually a type of atomic weapon. It has its unconquerable force, but very different from today's atomic weapons in that the Brahmastra will attack or devastate one specific thing without harming anything around it. So it attacks with irresistible force, devastating force, without harming anything other than its intended target. So it's a very intelligent weapon, very powerful and intelligent.
The ancient Hindus could navigate the air, and not only navigate it, but fight battles in it. One of the most fascinating topics spawning from India's past is the story of ancient flying machines known as Vimanas. There are some records describing how to build one, and the instructions are quite precise. The ancient Indian epic describes a Vimana as a double-deck circular aircraft with portholes and a dome. It flew with the speed of the wind and gave forth a melodious sound. There were at least 4 different types of Vimanas, some saucer-shaped, others like long cylinders, cigar-shaped airships.
So Vimana, this is a flying ship. They're mentioned in many places in the Vedas. Previously there were flying airplanes, and not mechanical devices like we have today using petroleum, but they actually worked on other principles. The description of one, there's one asura by the name of Shalva. He had a wonderful airplane that could become invisible, that had many different kinds of weapons that it could discharge. It could fly at different altitudes and different speeds. Any military commander today would be very happy to actually have such an airship.
Vimanas were powered by some sort of anti-gravity. Vimanas took off vertically, and they were capable of hovering in the sky like a modern helicopter.
I do believe there was a technologically advanced civilization before our own. Sadly, if they existed, those cultures vanished away 10,000 years ago. A lot of evidence becomes more and more convincing. And for those who doesn't believe it, to be fair, there is no real proof that it didn't exist as well. There could have been an apocalypse-like event destroying in the earlier civilization. In modern times, any archaeology from those cultures would be extremely difficult to identify. For example, the Antikythera mechanism, a complex device with 30 gears that is believed to be kind of an ancient computer. It was found in one of the Greek islands. There are signs and discoveries being found all over the world. I think there was an advanced ancient civilization before ours, and what's more, it was most certainly developed elsewhere and came here, particularly in Indus Valley. The cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were discovered. No other culture, including those of Egypt and Mesopotamia, were as advanced. Also, traces of artificial radioactive elements were found in Mohenjo-Daro, such as uranium, platinum, and even thorium, that would suggest that these ancient civilizations could be familiar with nuclear technology or even a nuclear war. Now, this knowledge could come from another civilization somewhere else in the universe, and that civilization could be much more advanced.
In the 19th century, after colonializing India by British Empire for several decades, many Western scientists had enough time to translate the books of Vedas into their own languages, as well as many Tibetan works which were based on Vedic teachings. Western culture used the Vedic knowledge to explain mathematics, astronomy, aerodynamics, metaphysics, chemistry, and also to explore medicine.
By the end of the 19th century, the fact is that India was already Britain's biggest cash cow, the world's biggest purchaser of British goods and exports.
Many Western modern inventions are stolen from Vedas. Here is a list of Western famous inventors who were inspired or copied their works from Vedas. Sir Isaac Newton, English physicist and mathematician recognised as one of the most influential figures in the scientific revolution. Alessandro Volta, Italian physicist and chemist, credited with the invention of the first electrical battery. Charles Darwin, English naturalist and geologist, best known for his contributions to evolutionary theory. Max Müller, German-born philologist and Orientalist who lived and studied in Britain. He was one of the translators of the Vedas books. Alfred Nobel, Swedish chemist, engineer, innovator, and armaments manufacturer. He was the inventor of dynamite. Dmitry Mendeleev, Russian chemist and inventor. He created a version of the periodic table of elements that he described in his book, Principles of Chemistry. Mark Twain, American author, stated, "India is the cradle of the human race, the birthplace of human speech, the mother of industry, the grandmother of legend, as well as the great-grandmother of tradition. Our most valuable and most constructive materials in the history of man are treasured up in India only." Thomas Edison, American inventor and businessman. He developed many devices that greatly influenced life around the world, including the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and a long-lasting, practical electric light bulb. Nikola Tesla, Serbian-American inventor, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, and physicist. He studied the frequencies or the power of sound. He was the author of the dynamic theory of gravity, but he never explained it. He stated that there is no energy in matter other than that received from the environment. Romain Rolland. The French scholar Romain Rolland wrote, "If there is one place on the face of Earth where all the dreams of living men have found a home from the very earliest days when man began the dreams of existence, it's India." Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein, German-born theoretical physicist, stated, "We owe a lot to the Indians, who taught us how to count, without which no worthwhile scientific discovery could have been made." He also said, whenever he found difficulties in experiments, he referred to Vedas for insights. In the Hindu culture, the creation of 4 Vedas is credited to Brahma. Brahma is the Hindu god of creation, and one of the trinity of Hindu gods. The others are Vishnu and Shiva.
The Vedas cover all different aspects of human knowledge: warfare, art, science, and, of course, most importantly, the spiritual aspect of our existence. In material existence, these 3 aspects are always present: creation, maintenance, and destruction. So therefore, there needs to be some personality who puts their consciousness there to in charge of these things. In the Hindu concept is the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. The Brahma is the creator of this material world, or what we would say the secondary creator. He works with the material elements that are given by the Supreme Lord. Vishnu is the maintainer, and Shiva the destroyer. This age that we're in today is called Kali Yuga, and the influence of this age is to reduce intelligence, to reduce the qualities of human beings. And so consequently our lives are becoming more and more crude, not better. The Vedic worldview is antithetical to what's given to us in the worldview of modern science. Modern science would have us believe that everything began from a big bang and it's evolving and getting better and better, and that what we have today is the pinnacle of human civilization. The Vedic opinion is completely opposite, that formerly there were very grand civilizations, and this age has become a much worse quality. So everybody's heard about the Golden Age, perhaps, and the Silver Age. There's Golden, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and now the Iron Age of Kali. This means degradation of human life. So now we have airplanes, we have flying ships, we have atomic weapons, but these are very crude compared to the airships and the weapons of former ages.